my clients try and tell me that they're old, I tell them that they're too fit to use the age card. I'm sorry, you're moving well, you're feeling good. Don't pull that I'm too old to do that stunt with me.
Yeah, I got a 93-year-old who just started, and all I
Oh
have to do
yeah.
is with her daughter, who's exactly my age, which is 69, and her mother was born in the same year as my mother, and all I have to do is put on some 40s and 50s music, and she's just rocking and doing
Yes.
Pilates and doing TRX, FYI.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how we do it.
It is how we do it, one person at a time.
Hmm.
And I just want to also say that I admire the collaboration that obviously you and your whole family, and particularly your wife, shout out to your wife. And I plan on
Yes.
purchasing your photographs and your t-shirt.
Oh yeah. That's
I am
nice.
too.
Too funny. Thank you so much. Yeah, there's so many people that come on and talk about how their partners have, you know, cheered them on, helped them write books, helped them build stuff, keep them accountable from a business perspective. Yeah, I like
You're very
they do.
blessed.
So blessed, so blessed. I would be so many steps behind if it wasn't for her.
I'm
I
sure. Now, is that the shirt you're wearing with the maple leaf underneath that jacket?
No, no, this is just one of the just a regular like two
Oh,
times you. Yeah, sure,
I
but
like the maple leaf. And just
yes,
and just to meet you halfway, I gotta say, equality doesn't hurt anyone.
yes, nice. That's a great shirt.
Thank you. And I'm one more thing. I have to meet your dad's goals with an octopus mug because I always feel
How
like I
epic
need
is that?
extra arms.
Yes.
Oh, Martin. So, so yeah, I've never done this before. This is
It's
my first, and I'm inspired by some people who are on here right now. In
hmm
particular, a very, very, very dear friend, Sari Radican, and Anita Kugler, and a woman that I had the privilege of meeting several years ago at PMA before a lot of things went down, Michelle Sims. Michelle
okay.
Sims,
Yes.
let me tell you, Michelle, I was in a very difficult place. And
Mhm.
that woman embraced and has always, always done nothing but lift everybody up. She lifts
Yes.
everybody up. And I just want to, I love being a part of this IG community that seems to be the kindest place I have found
Oh, that's so
in
sweet.
many, many years. And you are a connector. You bring people together, and it's an incredible thing. It's an incredible thing, and I just want to thank you in person. And that's why I did this, because I thought this is a gift to thank you personally.
Oh, thank you.
I mean it.
That's no, I really, really appreciate it. And for those who are watching, I don't know if you've ever heard anyone say that this has been a kind place in terms of social media because we hear so much evil, right, of it, when the
This is
reality is, yeah, it is right. Yes, she is correct. There's another comment there. But it's like because it is really it's neutral and we can make it as good or as evil as we want it to be. So I've chosen to use this for good.
and you've
Um,
succeeded. You've succeeded, sir. You've succeeded in hugely. You've succeeded. And there is justifiably a lot of hurt and anger out there. And I have made it my business over this past year and a half, well, a little over a year, to really make an effort to, as Sonia, I follow Sonia Commando Fitness.
yes, yes.
She and I admire Sonia so much, along with Sonia Renee Taylor. I'm a huge fan of Sonia Renee Taylor and
Okay.
many others out there. But
Mhm.
I look forward to the day we can all somehow meet together in this Pilates world, fitness world, and
Yes.
be able to give each other a bump or a hug, or preferably a hug,
Right.
but meet
Prefer
each
the hug.
other in some place, in time. But for now, I'll
Absolutely.
take this.
Yes. And Michelle Sims, you're mentioning her before. Like, I agree
Get
with
to
you. Like,
work. Get to work.
yeah, get to work. If you've seen the handle, that who she is. And she's become a really good friend, for to me as well. And just hearing her story in the sense of being in the fitness industry for so long in so many different capacities, and how like we had a conversation, one of the things she was saying is that we have to get all these certifications and get all these letters behind our name and have all of these things for someone in my skin tone to be recognized as a credible person, in a reputable person in the industry. And I just remember her saying how she'd had to have like all of these different, like a TRX cert, and a pre and postnatal cert, and a BOSU cert, and a Pilates cert, and a
I was
Zumba
there too.
certification.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
But for
just
her, but for Michelle, now the
yes.
thing about Michelle is she had a day job.
And she has a day job.
She's
Right?
got one heck of a day job,
Hmm.
and she brings so much mastery in terms of life skills and people skills.
Yes.
It's pretty overwhelming.
Right.
And she's a real connector. She's a real connector of folks. And
Absolutely.
um, I
And
did
she's just
also,
real too. Like she's
she's
just a
real.
real person, right? Like,
She's
yeah.
so real. She's so real. So, Michelle out there, mwah.
Yes.
Um, I also wanted to take this opportunity. You had my mentor on a while
Okay.
back,
Yeah, okay.
and Megan Dufy from the Neuro Lab.
Couple of yes. Yeah.
And that's why I'm wearing this shirt, is because in yoga, I'm a yoga therapist. That's what it says on the door. And I made it my business to be in a medical building. So I did teach during the
Hmm.
whole pandemic. I
Wow,
taught
nice.
except for the 2 weeks that I had COVID.
Oh,
That was interesting. But I taught the whole time. And the reason I did it was because Joseph Pilates, I thought, I prayed about it. I said, would Joseph Pilates stop working during the pandemic? Nah, he went through the Spanish influenza.
exactly.
And because I'm in a medical building, I mean, I justified it to myself, but I thought, I had people say if they'd stopped moving, if they had nowhere to go, their health would have declined. And I thought, you know
Yes.
what? I had just this faith that if I try to take the proper protocols, which I did,
Hmm.
that what I was doing was ancillary to, preventative medicine.
Absolutely.
And it was the variant that got me last January.
Oh boy. Yeah.
But honestly, the fear of getting it was, I'm very lucky. It was worse than the actual experience. But
Yes. Good. Good.
but but I did teach through the pandemic, and this last year I've been in Megan's mentorship program. And for those of you who are not aware of the Neuro Studio or the Neuro Lab, Mariska Breland and Megan Dufy started this endeavor. And many years ago, I have a sister with progressive multiple sclerosis. So in my case, I'm really inspired to work with all populations, anybody who wants to feel better in their body. But
Yes.
I have a special place in my heart for people who have been diagnosed with certain chronic diseases, such as multiple sclerosis.
Yes.
And they're doing some very, very, very exciting work
Yes.
in that department. And Megan's actually working with my sister, and I just, anybody interested in working with this population, I would urge you to check out the Neuro Studio
Yes,
and
there are
their work.
such dynamic teachers and mentors and leaders and
And they think
fantastic
outside the
facilities.
box.
Absolutely,
They
absolutely. I'm so
they really
inspired to
do.
think that far outside of the box. Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like,
it's pretty remarkable stuff. And
mhm.
yesterday we had our mentorship group, and there's a woman I wanted to I hadn't met her before, but she was the speaker yesterday. Her name is Anna Hartman, and she works with elite athletes, those who are actually playing in the NBA, National Hockey, baseball, and things. And she
Okay.
does some very interesting work with viscera. And so Anna
Mm.
Hartman, Martin, I'll send you her link
Yes,
um,
please.
later. But I think, yeah, I think she's called the Movement Rev. But I'll send you the exact name later. But she's
Okay,
doing some really interesting work, and you might want to have her on.
sure. Kathy, do you realize for 20 minutes we've talked about how awesome other people are in our world? Like, we just like amplified like so many names, and but you're in the yoga space and the Pilates space. So my question for you is, do you consider yourself like a yoga therapist that does Pilates, a Pilates instructor, a movement person? Like, how do you actually label what you do?
Okay, well, the shingle on my door says Health in Motion, Kathy DeMack, certified yoga therapist.
Okay.
However,
However,
in my space, I'm
yes.
on the same floor as licensed marriage family therapists, and they all were Zooming this whole time. I had the floor to myself. But in my studio, I don't know if you can see, in the background, we've got a Cadillac, we got a couple of reformers, a ton of toys. We also have a gyrotonic tower. I actually have
Yes.
two. And we have
Our
two
chairs.
hybrid chairs, two pedipals, foot corrector, and a massage table because I work on people manually. I've been doing this since 1996. I've had two hip replacements, so I'm like a museum of everything that you can do wrong in your body.
Right. Yes.
But I'm still standing,
Yeah.
and honestly, I really credit moving every day, working. I work pretty hard, and I also incorporate TRX. And I've worked for some big companies. I don't know how you feel about mentioning any of them.
Sure.
Unfortunately,
I'm fine. Yeah, absolutely.
okay. Well, I worked at Yoga Works for 13 years
Hmm.
as a master Pilates instructor,
Okay.
but they closed during the pandemic at the beginning, and
Yeah.
so I just decided to focus on my studio.
Yeah.
And I also worked as a master instructor for Club Pilates. And
Yes.
whoops,
Get her set back up there. All right, we'll get her back in. So Tara worked at Yoga Works until they closed for good. There you go.
great thing. So I've worked. I mean, I'm self-employed, but I've worked for other companies,
Yes.
and I I had a unique approach to my work. As a yoga therapist, one of the definitions of who comes to a yoga therapist is somebody who doesn't want to be or doesn't fit in a group setting because everybody's unique,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Then I've done the itinerant group yoga teaching for many, many years before I had the opportunity to open up this studio.
Okay. Yes.
And then, you know, it was really by trial and error, and each person has their own unique story and narrative and their needs.
Yes, are
So,
unique.
so for example, I might have somebody who comes to me for Pilates, and down the road I might integrate, well, I always now try to integrate TRX because it's functional.
Absolutely.
And it takes those movements that we do laying down. Most people don't work laying down. They
Hmm.
need to function standing up. And
Right.
so I do use TRX now for everybody.
Amazing. Yes.
And, and I have all ages. I've had kids in here. I've had my 93-year-old, and I've had other 90-year-olds. And because of the Neuro Studio and literature that's coming out, we're finding that, you know, people may come in for the body that they feel Pilates may offer them,
Yes.
you know, that core strength.
Hmm.
But I also am intrigued by the neurological factors.
Yes. Even in people who are quote unquote healthy, just how their brain fires and responds, it activates and all those different things.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so this combination of toolboxes
Yes.
is very helpful. But relating to something that you mentioned, I think it was about a week ago, about how instead of using the word referrals, you're going to start using the word connect.
Yes.
And I thought he's right. When you connect people, there's a different intention there.
Yes.
And so I'm definitely not going to be referring. I'm going to be connecting.
Yes. Well, the way you speak of the people, like you're already connecting people. You mentioned so many amazing names already. Like that's exactly what we do. Like we extend that trust and confidence that we have in them to this person so they can, you know, like I say, just blindly move to the next person, know that there's someone who is that invested in their health, even though they don't know them yet.
Right.
Right? So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
There's a
Yes.
comment here from Demaria. Had Joseph based in yoga works? I'm guess she asking like is like along the lines of actually if you want to ask the question again, I'm guessing it's like what's the connection of yoga and Pilates?
Okay. So what happened is the Yoga Works was started by a couple in Santa Monica.
Okay.
And a big company from the East Coast came in and bought their name, two of their studios, and sort of that Madison Avenue advertising logo thing. And they also connected with a place near me in Westlake Village. And they took that yoga studio in Westlake Village, made the owner the new manager, which did not work out because she's really a yogi. She didn't want to be a business manager.
Right.
And they opened the first members only yoga studio. And at the beginning, I'm like, what happened to pass the hat for a few bucks and the old school yoga? No computers, nothing like that. That's, you know, I go back to 1996 when it was just very old school. There was no fashion involved. You just showed up and whatever.
Right.
So this was really a little disconcerting that it was going to be a members only. However, it had its 15 minutes of success and they are still online. They let go of all their brick and mortar at the
Wow.
beginning of the pandemic because they could monetize their online classes.
Yes.
But they did have a department of Pilates. And so because one of the managers had also been certified in gyrotonic, which I also teach,
Hmm.
I was able to come in as a Pilates instructor who also could teach gyrotonic.
Right.
Even though I was a certified yoga therapist, it's taken yoga therapy, even though it's ancient, a little bit of time to to become a thing. So people are like,
Yes.
what's a yoga therapist? They just pretty much know me as a Pilates instructor.
Right.
But the thing is, the way I teach Pilates, Joseph Pilates and the hundreds, what do? You breathe in deeply for 5 counts.
Yes.
And you exhale for 5 counts. And you try to do it 10 times as you pump your arms and raise your legs, if you have that ability. So everything is breath based in the work
Yes.
that I do.
This is exactly where we wanted to go. Talk about breath.
Everything is breath based, you
And
know?
that's your niche to some
That
degree
is,
too,
yeah,
right? Yes.
yeah. And also because I was very fortunate to study with a woman, Nishla Joy Devi, and she put together the yoga portion for Dr. Dean Ornish. I don't know if any of you have heard of Dr. Dean Ornish, but he wrote a book called Reversing Heart Disease. And at the same time, they also discovered that based on this 4-part program, which included a vegetarian diet, group therapy, cardio, and yoga, they could reverse heart disease. And
Wow.
it's what is lifestyle based, right?
Yes.
Lifestyle. And so one of the things I learned was that the inhale supports extension and the exhale supports flexion. And when people stay in flexion for too long because of our everyday life and sitting and devices, etc., that ability to get extension is becoming more limited. And if you take somebody who happens to have to live in a wheelchair, now you've got some serious issues.
That's a whole nother layer of,
and I work with a woman who had Lyme's disease in her 20s, then developed encephalitis, and she comes to me twice a week. She'll be here today. And I have her do upper body work using the tower in gyrotonic. And then I take her to the Cadillac and I do some body work.
Yes.
And I also am able to get her into that figure 4 piriformis stretch. I'm able to do a lot with her. And the thing is, she's tried traditional PT. She's tried all the chiros, which occasionally help her. But the bottom line is we need each other.
Yes.
Right? So people who need people.
Yeah. So Kathy, my question then is with like my wife, when she had her knee surgery, she had an ACL, meniscus repair, all those stuff. And she actually didn't do, and I'm by no means am I criticizing like physiotherapy and stuff, but she did Pilates with me. And that was basically it.
Like and can I tell you? Okay, so, and I apologize for adjusting my glasses. They need to be tightened. My ex-husband just had knee replacement. Mm-hmm. And it's the same surgeon who did both my hip replacements.
Yes.
And when I got my first hip replacement, his PT, who eventually became his wife, interviewed me and said, "Oh, you teach Pilates. You know what to do." Mm-hmm. That was it. I was left on my own. I did my own rehab. I did my own rehab basically for both my hip replacements. And shout out to Sari, who brought me food. Yeah. She did. God bless this woman. She brought me food because I've got 2 boys and they just don't really know how to do all that stuff.
Right.
And I did my own rehab. I fractured my shoulder, and guess what? I did my own rehab. And if you have, and the beautiful thing about Pilates, because I started way back after the whole court thing, I didn't know what was going on, but that whole, you have the picture I sent you with Lolita. I'm a disciple of Lolita San Miguel. Mm-hmm. And, you know, at the time, the whole lineage thing was important. However, I'm so glad we're
There's
Well, you
Michelle right
have
there.
quite a lineage too, Martin. I checked it out. Chris
Hmm.
Robinson,
Hmm.
who
Yeah.
studied with Ramana.
Yes.
Yeah, that's quite a lineage.
Yeah,
You've got a
it is.
pedigree.
I'm working on it, like and
Yeah, you
continuing
got it.
to grow from that. Now, because you mentioned you have a pedigree in yoga as well. Like there's a lineage in yoga that you
There
worked through as
is.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah. Can you talk about that a little bit?
I'd love to. I tripped into it. I had wanted to be a veterinarian growing up. So I was pre-med in college. And
Oh wow. Okay.
then I got waylaid.
Okay.
I got waylaid. I'm from New York City, and the guy I'd known for a long time said, "Oh, you're a perpetual student. You should come to California with me." And I'd never been to California, and he was an actor, often out of work, but he worked as a sightseeing tour guide in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And he's
Okay.
like, "Come to California. It's just waiting for a tour company that we should open." And I had no idea what I was doing. Fast forward from 1977 to 1996, I'm living in Malibu. And a friend who's getting divorced says, "Oh, I just got certified in yoga. You should come to my class." So I went to her class, and her teacher was there, and he said, "Oh, I'm starting a little certification. You've got to join." And I said, "Okay."
Okay.
At
Yeah.
the end of the certification, he says, "I have a job interview to go on." Now, meantime, I'm working full time. I've got 2 young children. And I'm like, okay, the universe is talking. So I go to
Yes.
this place called Every Woman's Village, and I stayed there until it closed.
Hmm.
And then I started teaching in a church. I worked with they call them juvenile delinquents. I just think there's got to be a better description than that.
Right. Yes.
But I've done pro bono work over the years with a lot of different populations. But then I I had this opportunity to take a class that was Pilates, even though she didn't call it Pilates. And it
Yes.
intrigued me because I'd never had any abdominal strength. And
Okay.
that just led one thing to another. So I took one of the first Pilates certifications that was not a New York based one,
Hmm.
as in Drago.
Yes.
And I knew something was missing. And then I ran to Long Beach to Marie-Josée Laurence Blum, who had Long Beach Dance Conditioning.
Okay.
And I put down my money and I started commuting to Long Beach for at least 2 years. At the same time, she made everybody take a gyrotonic class. Well, if you're a movement junkie, it's like, oh, okay, I can do this too.
Right.
So
Yes.
I was doing Pilates certification and gyrotonic certification simultaneously. And then I decided, oh, it would be good to become a massage therapist.
And
So,
you're still working and still raising kids simultaneously.
well, now I've got grandchildren in my life.
Right.
I'm, yeah, I'm going to be 70. So I figure this is the new decade.
Right.
So but I did have young children at the time, and they
Hmm.
always thought their mom was she's a yoga teacher. You know, that excused a lot of things just by attributing that she's a yoga teacher.
Right.
But when I had my hip replacement and I realized all the training that I had continuously done and continue to do, there was an opportunity to rent the space that I've been in now for about 19 years.
Mm.
And
Okay.
I didn't have a business plan, and the rent was half of what it is now. And I thought, the energy was good, and here we are. And
Amazing.
now the world has changed in some ways for the better, because I'm a child of the 60s. And your name means a lot to me because, I was in high school when Martin Luther King was assassinated.
Yeah.
And I was in in New York City, I was in a public school. And so I'm diversity and inclusion and now learning that I need to be an ally. One of the reasons I haven't been active on IG is because I wanted to hear others speaking. I wanted to hear their truth.
Yes.
And just as Sonia said, just, you can walk alongside of us, but, you just need to listen. So I've really made that my business this past year of trying to bear witness and listen and be the best ally I can.
Amazing.
During these times.
Yes. There's Michelle is here too, and she says queen. Yes. I appreciate that. And I always like to add to that when people say like, I like to listen and all those different things. I feel at the same time that that is true. I don't want, how can I put this? I still want to hear your voice. I still want to hear other people, other white people's voices and their experiences and their lived experiences and how they see it. And I appreciate and respect people wanting to be quiet to let other people be heard, but I also want them to be heard. I also want them to know that that is appreciated and that your efforts are appreciated and that you're trying and we see you trying. Because sometimes we get in this place, well, do I do this? Do I not do this? What should I do? And even for my wife who's white, this is a sense of almost being paralyzed with what do I do? How do I say it? Do I say something about this? If I do say something and it's wrong, or what if I say nothing and I'm accused of not supporting by not doing anything? Like you're in this weird spot. So
paralysis through analysis. And I really, behind the scenes, I had the opportunity to support classes. Michelle did a lot of online classes with others, and I tried to be, supportive in that way.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a, let me get it. This, I almost wore this shirt because there's a young man I follow and I admire, he and his mother. Do you know Truth?
Oh, yes.
You know Truth. His mother rocks.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So it's a person named Truth?
There's a young man.
Okay. The shirt was reversed.
And he started getting interested in stocks and making money. That's the one thing it's not exactly my forte, is making a lot of money. But I do love what I do, so I'm rich in that regard.
This is true.
But this young man, he's an entrepreneur. And I think there's a lot of hope in the young people in this world. They're just going to grow up with different sensibilities and senses of self. I didn't grow up with that.
No, really.
No. I come from a generation of be quiet, do as you're told, do not ask questions, even though during the Vietnam War, the call was question authority. But in my little world, questioning authority got you a hit in the head.
Yeah.
It was not encouraged.
Right.
So, but I do love the work I do. I still think one of the difficulties, I'm in a building with a concierge physician.
Okay.
He does not come up to the third floor. He's come up once, but getting people in the medical world to refer, because I don't take insurance.
Yes.
They're still, they don't appreciate us.
It's like building credibility. Like, does it just not have the credibility of a doctor because you can't bill it privately? Publicly?
It would be easy, I don't take insurance, obviously, because I'm not a physical therapist. And then my clients who are physical therapists say, oh, you're so lucky you're not a physical therapist.
Yeah.
And because you don't have those constraints.
Constraints, right.
And I can do things outside the proverbial box. But having said that, and I have clients who say, "Oh, I think of you as a doctor," but I say, "But I'm not a doctor." I'm very
Yes, yeah.
clear. I'm very clear about that. I have a brother who's a doctor, but 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 people are beginning to focus more on the preventative side, the wellness,
Yes.
and investing in that. And I think it's just very important.
Hmm.
It's just very important to just. Did you ever hear of the Clark Terry story?
No,
Do you know who Clark Terry is?
I don't. I not.
Quincy Jones was his youngest student.
Okay.
And Clark
Know that
Terry
name.
broke
Yes.
the color barrier in terms of orchestras that were on television back in the 50s. And he was a trumpet player. And
Okay.
there's a documentary about Clark Terry. And he had an expression, and it was keep on keeping on.
Okay. Yes.
And I would have to say that that and the Serenity Prayer are words that I do try to live by. Keep on keeping on, and the Serenity Prayer.
Yes. And that ties into like your kind of message for your people, which is just keep moving, right? Just move.
Yes. Lotion is motion.
Yes.
Lotion is motion. And also keeping the idea that hope, keep the hope alive that, you can feel better.
Yes.
My goal is when somebody walks in here, no matter how they feel, I know it can be hard to walk in. I say, just cross the doorway and and let the work take care of itself. And it always does. The work takes
Yes.
care of itself.
I've said in the past that we are brokers of hope.
Great. Brokers of hope. Yeah.
Because really we're not giving them that hope. We're just creating this place where they can recognize that this is what they need. We're giving them hope in a sense, just enough, just that sliver that will give them some momentum and start to see small changes. And then we start to celebrate those small progressions, and then that picks up steam, and then they're on their way, right? So we're brokers of that hope when they don't have that hope for themselves.
So true. And I think sometimes we can be so in our head and not in our body. So
Yes.
once they can start to feel and get some of those happy juices going, because the
Mhm.
body will give you that. I mean, the body is just osteopathy. Osteopaths, they believe that the body can heal itself given the
Yes.
opportunity.
Right.
And that happens as soon as sometimes people just lay down on a reformer and it's just like,
It's so intuitive to them. It just
and
makes sense in their
prancing,
body.
just
Yeah.
doing some of the movements like prancing
Yes.
is joyful.
Right. And isn't it fascinating that with movement, you don't have to have a lot of real, like we talked about Mariska and Megan, how they have such a high level knowledge of like neuroscience when it comes to the body. You don't have to have a PhD in biomechanics to understand that movement is just simply going to make you feel better.
Right. As who said it? Ann Hartman said, it's not rocket science. We're not performing brain surgery, you know? And
Yeah.
and one of my teachers, and a shout out to Dr. Larry Payne. Dr. Larry is my yoga teacher from '96.
Okay.
And he came from the advertising world, and he hurt his back, and he ended up going to India. And you talk about lineage in yoga. He ended up actually having the privilege of studying with a man named Desikachar, who was the son of Krishnamacharya. And Krishnamacharya, I don't know if any of these names sound familiar, but he was related to BKS Iyengar and Patabi Joyce. These are
Okay.
very, very big names in the yoga industry, okay?
All right. Yeah.
And it's all hatha yoga. It's all yoga, but just like different flavors. Like water has different flavor brands. It's
Okay.
just branding, okay?
Okay.
But Larry had the opportunity of writing Yoga for Dummies with a man who's no longer with us, Georg Feuerstein, who's a brilliant yoga Sanskrit scholar. And Larry started the yoga therapy program at Loyola. And so because I was a student of Larry's and I'd followed him, I'd gone to India, I'd gone to China, he had me teaching pro bono to begin with at UCLA Medical for the students there. And I was intimidated at first, but then I realized these kids, they're wearing backpacks, they've got these huge heavy books, they desperately need yoga. Now they've integrated yoga into the medical program as an elective.
Wow.
Yeah, at UCLA.
Yeah.
And then he started the yoga therapy program, and it was like, I'm on board. So I was in the first graduating class. And the first thing Larry would say is, I want you to say out loud, I am a yoga therapist, because it's taking ownership of that. You don't know where it's going. It's just a declaration.
Yes.
And then from there, it's like getting your white belt, right? In karate or something.
Yes.
Now you
Love
gotta
that analogy.
go do all the other stuff.
Yes.
And really any certification, and I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir, any certification, you got the books, you got the tests, you got the apprentice stuff. Now it's the real deal.
Right.
And you learn from your students.
Yes.
Right?
That's exactly
you
it.
learn from everybody who walks through the door. I think that's what keeps this work so exciting. I love coming to work. I love my work.
Yes.
And
that's, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, and I didn't always love my work. I was in the travel business. I didn't love it. I did it because I'd committed to it and I had bills to pay. But as soon as I had an opportunity to get out that door, I got on this trajectory and I'm still on it.
Yes.
I'm still on it. And I
Well,
hope
yes,
I die with my boots on. And
awesome.
to that point, Lolita San Miguel is still teaching, and she is either 85 or 86 right now. Look at people like Jillian Hessel.
She's coming on soon.
There are some cool gals teaching out there in their 70s, in their 80s. We got a president who's going to be, it's pretty cool.
It's so cool.
So
when you were saying about the lineage piece, and I think that's why I wasn't, I don't boast about it, or I don't kind of be, oh yeah, well I was like, Chris Robinson is my lineage. It's because he's a heavyweight, but to what you said there, that's where I got my white belt. Yeah.
Yeah. And he gave you your white belt, and he said, now I set you off. I think, I meet angels every day. I know I've got angels around me. And he just sent you off as one of his angels.
Yes.
He gave you wings.
Right.
And he said, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Bye.
Michelle's comments is like, listen to that joy.
and I owe Michelle a debt of gratitude.
Michelle, I don't know if she's probably at her desk right now, but if she wants to join us on the screen for the last few minutes here.
Oh, wow.
You could. Michelle, give us a thumbs up if you can, if you can afford to do that right now. I don't know if she has like a separate screen on while she's at her desk, but if she can, that'd be awesome for her to come on. But the Pilates Hottie IG comment says, teaching as an octogenarian, wow, movement heals.
Yeah.
Yes.
Another 10 years and I'll be that octogenarian.
But isn't it so cool that you're looking forward to it though? Like, I mean, how many people are sitting at their desk counting down the days till they can take their package and walk, right?
No. I really feel blessed.
Yes.
I really feel blessed. So Martin, now that we're entering, hopefully we're going toward the end of these pandemic days, what do you have plans to continue with Core Conversation?
Oh, right.
I look crazy. We're going with it. I just get out the shower, so this is real
You
stuff
look
right now.
beautiful. Man,
I'm
as
on my way
always.
to work, so yes, I'm on my way to.
Hey,
Hello. Good morning.
good morning, West Coaster.
Oh, baby. You
I
look
love
fabulous.
you so much, Kathy.
I am such a fan. I cheer you on.
You have been so supportive, and whenever I've been able to support you, I have. But man, this woman, as she's already shown you, just has a wealth of knowledge, and
Yes.
her energy. I mean, I just happened. She's a part of my story. You know, as she probably already said, I was trying to get my stuff together and get my staff together. But you know, she's one of the first people I met at PMA in 2016. It was her that just put a stamp on my heart, and Nikki Peterson, and we've been thick as thieves since. And she's such an amazing soul with so much knowledge, and I'm so proud of you, Kat, because you're letting people know who you are. People who know who you are. People who work with you or have gone to your studio know your work, but to stand up and present and say I am, that is so important. And I know it's been a journey, and we talk offline and stuff like that, but you, madam, are just amazing. The yoga, everything that you put into it as movement. What I love is motion is lotion. I'm stealing that.
Yes.
I'm stealing it.
And Michelle started a studio during this.
Yes.
On top of all the other stuff she does.
And not combing her hair yet.
But it looks so beautiful.
Still fabulous.
Love. It's love. I freaking love both of you guys, and I'm multitasking all the time, but I have to physically take my body into the office. So I was like, eh. But I'm motioning. I'm making my lotion right now. I have to stretch and get ready. But Kathy, you are just someone that everyone needs to know in one way or another. She was pushing me to go get certified by Lolita, but it wasn't in the stars for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't in the stars for me. But I mean, that to her point, like someone like Lolita, Jay Grimes, all the people who we know, Mary Bowen, who are still moving. This really gives us just not. And Sarita Allen, let me not leave Sarita out. Let me not leave Sarita out.
No.
I mean, I can think of all the names, but like this is on the fly. But we
Yes.
definitely have to give you your flowers while you're here and let people know that they can connect with you. And and Kathy is like technology challenged. For her to be doing this,
Sure.
She's killing it
so
today.
proud of her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
I love you, but you know that already.
Thank you. Thank you for blessing this. Thank you so
Looking
much.
crazy, but it's now on the internet. So here we go.
Here it is. It's only up here forever, Michelle. That's fine.
Yeah. Hey, Leslie. I
There's
think
Leslie.
Oh my God. Hello, Leslie Logan.
Agency. Woo woo.
Thank
Yes,
you,
sir.
Leslie. Thank you.
I gotta jump off, but
Yes,
you
thank
guys
you.
keep doing what you're doing.
Michelle,
I gotta go. Love y'all. I don't know how to hang me up, but
Just
kick
hit
me
the
out,
X.
Have a beautiful day,
Press
Michelle.
the X and then you're out.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye. Don't you love that hair? Jeepers.
Yeah, I love
And
it.
then, and while I'm at it, a couple of other people I'd like to amplify. Tasha Edwards.
Yes.
Tasha.
Love her.
I
Yes.
have not had the privilege of meeting her like this, but Tasha, I relate to Tasha on many, many levels. And Danica.
Yes.
Danica, Pilates 804. I've watched them come so far in this time.
Yes.
And tough it out and brave it out. And so creative. Danica with her Mumble Mondays.
I know, right?
Monday Mumbles. And, the world is the Pilates world in particular, is such a richer place for all of us being to communicate and connect.
Absolutely.
And Michelle was my, I don't know the correct expression, lightning rod, tipping point. She...
Catalyst?
Catalyst, everything.
Yes.
she she made me, you know, you just feel like an other. You mentioned that the other day, that everybody, you know, can feel this way, because I'm isolated in my studio. I don't have colleagues to talk to, except for those, you know, I try to communicate online with when I'm able to comment. Allison's, you know, Stews with her
Jeez.
fluid. Yeah.
Yeah, she's on tomorrow, actually.
Oh,
Tomorrow?
fantastic.
Yes. So
Fantastic.
looking forward to having her on again.
Well,
Yeah.
I realize now the benefit of waking up at 4:30 in the morning.
Yes.
I think you're going to make an early bird out of me, Martin,
Yes.
which is a
Lovely.
good thing. Which
Yeah.
is, and also, if you ever happen to be on the West Coast in Los Angeles,
Oh,
you,
I have.
your wife, your children, you, please come. And my
Absolutely.
Health in Motion Agora Hills, anybody on here, please feel free to, I'd
Mhm.
love to give you a spin with either gyrotonic, combining TRX with Pilates. Yeah, and I still teach yoga. Still teach.
Oh yeah, yoga too. Yes. To answer your question before Michelle dropped on with the core conversations, continuing it.
Yes.
Yeah, Ontario technically opens on Friday, so I'm starting to give that some thought as to what that looks like. But this hour and a half window from 9:30 to 10:30, so 9:30 to 11, 2.5 hour, 2 hour, from 9:30 to 11:30, that gives you that window of 10 to 11 to do these conversations. So I'm gonna try and keep them in as long as I can. If I have to take it down to like 3 times a week or once a week, we'll see how the demands go with it. But I haven't run out of people yet. Like, so and I thought I was gonna run out of people like 6 months ago. But this is just so rich, and this is really the highlight of my day. I can't express how much I love hearing people's stories and just connecting with amazing people like you. And just, it brings such a joy to my heart to see Michelle come on and just see the two of you interact. Like, it almost brings tears to my eyes to see that happen. And the fact that this is the place where those moments happen. Make it Tuesday, Thursday. There's the request from Joel.
You made it happen, though, Martin. You made it happen.
That's the honor I feel. Like, I feel like it's not like I'm like skirting that. I'm like, I'm so honored to say, like, we've made this happen. And it's we. It's not just me. I mean, like, you all could have said no, and then I'd be sitting here by myself. So
No, no, not at all. And you know, other people come to mind, and you know, I don't want to just go on some kind of a litany. But there's one other guy who really has joy, who I followed and tried to support when he was doing a fundraising. He's not a Pilates person to my knowledge, but his name is Jeffrey Adams.
okay, yes.
And it's just the joy that he brings to his work all through the pandemic. That poor guy's in a studio all by himself, and he's trying to keep everybody's spirits up.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was just like a matter of keeping people lifted.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful thing. And making our studios more inclusive. As Michelle said, I am technically challenged because I'm a one-man band here. But I obviously now am going to try. Do you know the Movement Maestro? I think she follows you, Shanti.
I think so.
Oh, look her up.
Yes.
Movement
Okay.
Maestro, Shanti. She is a physical therapist, but now she's seriously into beach volleyball.
Okay, I'll look.
She's
Yeah, I'll look her up.
following her bliss. But she also does mentorship programs and helps people navigate things that that they'd like to do better, such as IG and
Oh yes, I am
and how
following
to
her.
get
Okay.
there. And she has MOAR, more, like roar, but
There it is.
more.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
Megan had her on as a speaker in our NeuroLab mentorship program. And that's how I connected with her.
Yes, Megan put me on to her. That's correct now. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I just love the idea that even at this distance, even at the time zone difference, we can continue to interconnect with each other, because Pilates industry prior to a little while ago, and not very long ago,
Mhm.
was a very insular place.
Yes.
And
Yes.
people were, even at the place that I taught at, people were not kind. They were not warm and fuzzy.
Mm.
They, you know, there's something to be said just for offering a smile to somebody, just to show them that, you know, I see you.
Yes.
I see you. And
Yes.
and you bring that to the plate, and we need that, and we need to continue doing it, would be my
Thank you.
prayer.
Yeah, I feel that. It's Kathy, it's not work for me. It is an absolute joy to do this, and I will keep it going as long as I can in whatever form I can, because I feel like there's still so many people out there in our Pilates universe that we're yet to meet, that, you know, those of us that are watching right now, I'm sure some of you are just hearing Kat for the first time and saying like, where has she been my whole life? Like, people have that experience when we have these
Mhm.
conversations, and and I love that. Like, Nanette was here earlier and she connected with Becky Fars, and they're in the same state, same city, and they started working together and doing projects, and they met through these conversations.
I believe it.
Honest, like, it's such a blessing for me, such a joy, such a joy.
Well, God, Martin, thank you.
Oh, my
Thank you. I will
pleasure. Thank
continue
you.
to cheer you on and cheer those who I see on to the best of my ability. And God bless you and your wife and family.
Thank you so much.
You just keep on keeping on.
I'm feeling pretty good about myself today.
You should.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone who's watching here.
Thank
Joel,
you.
Michelle,
Thank you,
Leslie,
everybody.
Anita, I saw you earlier. Really appreciate all of you.
Anita,
Kai as
good
well.
friend.
Amazing. All right. I will send you the replay for this later, Kathy. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
All right. Take care,
All right.
everybody.
Bye-bye.